Hello, everyone. So my name is Maria Quaresma, and I'm here today to present you MASSA Labs, the first truly and decentralized blockchain. Before we start, I want to take a few steps back and look at the MASSA report for the year of 2022. It stated that 2022 would be the year of DAO tools. But this is what we got instead. So we got Duquan from Terra Luna, we got Sam Bankfried, which I think it's a very funny name regarding the events associated, and we had a lot of bridge hacks. And let me tell you, I think you are aware, but all of these events happened based on the decision of very few people. And what do we call this? Centralization. And it's crazy because you can find centralization among so many things. You can find centralization of decision-making, for example, and take the example of Uniswap, where a few whales could make votes to privilege themselves. You have susceptibility to censorship always, and among other security crises in general. And looking at a year like this, maybe we should wonder, why are we in Web3 then? If we are not able to avoid all these scandals and scams that happen in Web2, what is wrong? Because I don't know if it's my personal opinion, but I think that Web3 without decentralization is basically Web 2, so decentralization should be non-negotiable. And you can find centralization among almost all layers of every blockchain. Take, for example, Polygon, which is a huge thing, and they had a hard fork with a little over a dozen of validators. We also had the Phantom outage that took only 2 validators. And my personal favorite one would be Solana, that was able to restart their entire mainnet. And okay, so some of you might be wondering how decentralized blockchains really are. And to measure this, we have the Nakamoto coefficient. And this is used as well to quantify how many entities or validators that are needed to compromise at least one crucial part of a blockchain. For example, you have Bitcoin, which is around 4, Ethereum around 3, and all the others are around in between 1 and 10, which are very, very low numbers for such huge protocols. So our commitment in MASSA is to scale this number just a tiny bit until we have 1,000. And we can do this because we have the technology for this, which I'm going to present you. And we are still in testnet. We are going to have our mainnet in October. And we have already 6,000 validators working with us daily. Plus, we have a very low cost of entry, so it's very accessible and open to everyone. Let's take a look now on what does a blockchain normally look like. So you have a chain of blocks, where each block references the previous block. With MASSA, we created a new technology that we named BlockLick. And this works basically like this. You have a thread of blocks that are created in parallel, and each block references one block of each thread. And using transaction sharding, the address cannot spend the same amount in the same blocks, so double spending is avoided. Now I have here a very beautiful picture of a whale. And as you might be aware, not every scenario that includes a whale ends up well. And with this, I want to touch the topic of centralization of token distribution. When you have whales, they can hold too much of the supply, and you can have many problems, which included are unfairly distributed voting. You can have price manipulation, and all the other security concerns in general attached to this. So, of course, as we want to be 100% decentralized and have our 1,000 plus Nakamoto coefficient, we will have a very fair token distribution. And not only on token distribution, you also have centralization in the tooling of the protocols. And the more layers you have, this results in problems. And you can have the example of AWS outage that took down an entire marketplace. Or another great example could be Axie Infinity's Ronnie's Bridge, and they were hacked for over 600 million. And following again the topic of centralization, because there's a lot of it, you can also find it on indexing, in automation protocols to trigger smart contract events, in oracles. It's a little bit everywhere, and this generates problems. Being one of them, the power distribution, because some wallets can have too much of the supply, and I don't think that's good for anyone. And the workarounds around this normally don't really add decentralization to it. On the opposite, it keeps it even more centralized, because you keep adding layers, and these layers are all vulnerable. To change a bit of the topic of centralization, not so centralization now, we have the traditional smart contracts, and they have a little bit of a problem when we touch this topic as well. So for the smart contracts normally are activated by transactions, but these transactions are often emitted off-chain and by centralized bots. I'm sorry. And here you create a single point of failure. So take, for example, MakerDAOs. Their centralized poking server failed, and they lost 4 million. Of course, you have some protocols that say that they have fixed it, they have automated smart contracts, but what they really have, it's they use cloud infrastructure to have botnets to wake them up, to wake up the smart contracts, to automate the liquidations. But this again goes to the point of single point of failure, because it's a server, so it can go down, it can slow down, and you can lose your thing in the middle, and that's not cool. So we also have a solution for this. We created our own smart contracts, and they are autonomous, and they are really autonomous. They are the game changer. These ones can wake up by themselves and perform autonomously. And this works by emitting a message to be processed in the future, or to register an event listener. And then these things will trigger the smart contract, and it will execute by itself. There's a lot of unique benefits associated with it, one of them being the decreased cost, as there is no need for third-party integration. They are very robust because there is no single point of failure, there's no server. These autonomous smart contracts, they live on-chain, and they are censorship resistant, so no one can take it down. And after all these benefits, there's also benefits in DeFi. So here you can have limit orders without private keys. You can have autonomous liquidations of under-collateralized positions, and you can bookkeep without a poke server or oracle. And the great example of DeFi in MASSA is Duza. Duza has been working with us for a little while now. They won several hackathons, they got a grant from us, and we have been together ever since. And Duza, despite being DeFi, they do not use bots. They live on-chain. They are censorship resistant. They have their website totally hosted on-chain, and this enables on-chain limit orders. Another good use for our product, it's NFTs and gaming. That's why we're here today, because of the NFTs. So imagine the possibility of having self-evolving NFTs. You can have on-chain generative art. You can create life on-chain, and you don't need to poke it to evolve. And my personal favorite would be the avatars that morph based on on-chain events. So for example, if the price of Bitcoin goes up, your avatar can turn green or have a smile. And if the price goes down, it would be crying or red. You decide. As for gaming, this can be used to autonomous crypto mods. You can also have worlds that generate unpredictably, like maybe a bit like Minecraft, you know? They keep generating and you never know what's gonna happen and no one gets the same. And the autonomous smart contracts also can play as, they can act and represent as players and NPCs. Going back to the centralization topic a bit again, you can also find centralization on the external layers. So take the example, you have your favorite Web3 project. But what's the flaw on this? You have your favorite Web3 project.com, which is Web2. It's a server, it's a single point of failure again. And this can lead to many problems. Being one of them, that DEXs can delist your currency, or even if things go really wrong, the government can ban it, can take it down. And not to talk about the financial institutions where the government can restrict the access to the to the reserves that back the stable coins held by these financial institutions. And take, for example, USDC, where they are held by BlackRock. So here you have the problem. So you have your domain of your favorite Web3 project, .com, which is hosted on a single Web2 normal server, and this creates, again, single point of failure. Take, for example, BadgerDAO website that was hacked and they lost 120 million. And of course, we are only here to present you solutions, and our solution is our own decentralized web client. And it's as easy as it is. You have your domain, .massa, duza.massa, for example. You design your app in a smart contract because this will live totally on-chain, and people can interact with it through their regular browser. Easy as it is. And easy as it is, you can try it today. You can download, install, and try our product today. You can pass by our booth. We have some little flyers with our QR codes and all the links, and you can access to this on our GitHub. And some good cases for this are, for example, decentralized blogging, because no one can take it down, because again, it's censorship resistance. It has front-end security, and DeFi dApps can mirror the website, so there is no point to hack it. There's no central point to hack it. And don't know if you're aware, but we are a quite recent project, so we are very happy with the traction of our ecosystem so far. We have a little bit of everything. We have games, we have NFTs, we have wallets, node trackers. We have it all. And another thing that makes us very proud is our community. Our numbers are excellent, through the roof. We could not be happier. We have more than 6,000 validators in our testnet. We have more than 40,000 people on Discord, 22,000 on Twitter, and we also have an ambassador program that helps us be present a little bit around the world. As I mentioned before, we are still in testnet. It's coming to an end, but you can still join, you can still participate, and the hardware required is very low, it's very accessible, and we already have 3,000 stable transactions per second. We are aiming for 10,000. It's very easy to get involved. Almost no barriers to entry. You just have to have your normal computer. It's a developer-friendly stack, as you can use TypeScript to make your autonomous smart contracts. First mover advantage, as there is no competition for block space. Very designer-friendly, user-friendly. We have good incentives and a team and a community that are always available to help. As I mentioned, we are a little bit around all over the world, so there will always be someone awake to attend your needs. Have a look at our little team, our little founders and co-founders and some other members. The company is based in Paris, and as we are working towards the mainnet, it's been pretty busy times, so most of them couldn't be here, but you have me, you have our CEO as well. You can pass by our booth and have a little chat with us and grab some merch as well. And that's it. Thank you so much.